Hello there and a very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfick Farzan. Now today we are starting off with something that is going viral across all social media platforms in Sri Lanka and has also made headlines among local media and newspapers as well. Well, this is about an altercation that took place during a political debate program on Shakti TV, that's the sister channel of TV1 and Sirasa TV. Now, party switching has become a pivotal issue in the run-up to Sri Lanka's presidential election that is set to take place on the 21st of September. Now, during a broadcast of Shakti TV's summer political debate program, two members from the same political faction, the Tamil Progressive Alliance, engaged in a heated exchange. Now, that escalated into an all-out conflict. Now, MPs Anura Kumara and Palani Digambaram, both elected under the TPA or Tamil Progressive Alliance banner at the last general election, found themselves at odds over recent political alignments. Now, MP Anura Kumara, who recently shifted his support to Ranil Wickremesinghe, faced sharp criticism from his colleague MP Palani Digambaram. The discussion, initially centered on the broader topic of party transfers, quickly turned personal and confrontational. Now let's have a look at what happened at the summer program on Shakti TV, where these two political party representatives engaged in a heated exchange and then into a conflict. Well, as the presidential election draws closer, the government printer has officially begun the printing process for the upcoming presidential election. A senior official has confirmed to Newsfirst that additional police protection was also deployed to the government printer in order to ensure that necessary security is provided during the printing process. Now, this year's ballot is notably extensively in long, with measuring 28 inches in length. Now, the government press has announced plans to deliver the first batch of these ballot papers to the Election Commission ahead of the scheduled postal voting date. Now, at the same time, there are 17.1 million eligible voters to cast their franchise at this year's presidential election. Now, the Election Commission says polling cards for the upcoming presidential election will be handed over to the Department of Posts on the 2nd of September. Now, the chairman of the National Election Commission, RML Ratnayaka, says that the 8th of September will be declared a special day to hand over the polling cards for the upcoming election. Now, accordingly, the process of printing 17.14 million polling cards have already begun. Now, additionally, this polling card is necessary to prove the identity of the voter when you go to the polling station to exercise your ballot. Now, at the same time, during the run-up to the presidential election, the number of complaints over the violation of election laws is on the rise. Now, election observers have raised concerns about the increasing number of the misuse of state property in the lead up to the presidential election. Now, according to Manjula Gajanayaka, Executive Director of the Institute for Democratic Reforms and Election Studies, a total of 140 complaints were documented by them with regard to the violation of election laws. At the same time, PAFWEL, that's the People's Action for a Free and Fair Election, says that they had documented 156 incidents over the violation of election laws. Now, over the weekend, some of the presidential candidates launched their election campaigns with their maiden rallies. Now, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna presidential candidate Namal Rajapaksa is set to kick off his election campaign officially today. Now, who is Namal Rajapaksa? Namal Rajapaksa is the son of former Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa and the nephew of former Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Now, Namal Rajapaksa's bid for the presidency will officially kick off today from the Kada Panaha area in Anuradhapura. Now, according to SLPP's spokesperson MP Sanjeeva Edirimana, this is the start of a series of public rallies that will be taking place at constituency level across the country. Now, according to Edirimana, these rallies are organized to galvanize support for Namal Rajapaksa in his run for the presidency of Sri Lanka. Now, one of the key candidates at this year's presidential election is National People's Power leader Anura Kumara Dissanayake. Now, Anura Kumara Dissanayake has made a strong commitment to creating a nation free of drugs and criminal activity. Now, he emphasized that his administration, once elected following the presidential election, would ensure that the law is applied fairly and equally to all the citizens in the country. Now, he said, quote, "We are asking the people for a mandate to govern the country so that we can build a prosperous nation," unquote. Now, he also highlighted the necessity on implementing the law equally among all the citizens in the country to curb the growing influence of the underworld and the drug menace. Now, Dissanayake pointed out that Sri Lanka, as an island nation, does not produce drugs and other forms of narcotics, and therefore these contraband arrive in Sri Lanka via the sea route or the sky route, and thereafter are transported by the land routes to various parts of the country. So therefore he said that this is a growing issue, and a notable thing that he mentioned during his speech is that he accused the billionaires, some of the billionaires in Sri Lanka who are behind this drug menace, and they're also being backed by certain politicians in the country, along with a handful of police officers who are also turning a blind eye to the growing influence of underworld and the drug menace. Now, he says that it is time for the people to give them a mandate so they can get rid of drugs and the underworld and implement the law equally to all citizens in the country. Now, another presidential hopeful is Sajid Premadasa. Now, he is the leader of the Samagi Janabala Vegya. Now, speaking at an event last evening, Sajid Premadasa called on all citizens for a collective effort to eradicate corruption and to bring about economic reforms and stability in the country. Now, speaking at an event last evening in Colombo, Premadasa said that he is in possession of a team that can actually deliver on the promises that are made to the people. Let's have a listen to what Sajid Premadasa had to say.
And we believe that we are the perfect team to deliver on all fronts: reform, relief, development, growth, poverty alleviation, and empowerment as a whole. Soon, we will launch our updated version of the economic blueprint, named From Stability to Growth. Ladies and gentlemen, we must learn from the past. Same people doing the same thing will not produce different results. And we don't have time to experiment with models that are proven failures. We have a huge responsibility, both as policymakers and as businesses and members of the industry. Let us be pragmatic about our future. We must firmly believe that it is possible to come out of this difficult situation and secure our future. I'm certain together we can overcome.
Was the Candi Asara Perahara one of the most historic cultural events that Sri Lankans can be proud of. Now, dating back to more than 2,500 years, Sri Lanka has a rich cultural heritage, and the Candi Asara Perahara is one of them. Now, after the conclusion of the Candi Asara Perahara, the scroll marking the conclusion of this grand pageant that paraded the streets is officially handed over to the country's head of state. Now, during a ceremony to present this scroll to the president outlined the government's plans to transform Candi into a prominent cultural and art hub, focusing on its extensive development. Now, this statement by the president was made during the handover of the scroll by the Diyawada Nilame of the Sri Dalada Maligava in Candi. Now, according to the president's media division, the president has said that there are also plans to modernize the existing Candi market. Now, to support these developments, the president has requested the Japanese government to construct the central expressway from Galagedara to Katugastata without interruption, which will contribute to the expansion of the area into a major urban area. Now, the president has also said that they plan to establish the Colombo, Galle and Candi and Trincomalee as the main hubs of Sri Lanka. Now, at the same time, during the same event, something remarkable also took place as Sri Lanka unveiled the world's longest commemorative stamp. Now, Sri Lanka's Department of Posts has issued a commemorative stamp symbolizing the renowned Candi Asara Maha Perahara. Now, measuring 205 millimeters in length, this stamp is now recognized as the longest stamp in the world. Now, the presentation of this longest stamp was made to the President by Senior Deputy Postmaster General Rajitha K. Ranasinghe at the event yesterday. Now, in addition to this stamp, a collection of other stamps, souvenirs and first day covers celebrating the Sri Dalada Maligawa and the Buddhist culture of Sri Lanka was presented to the Diyawadana Nilame as well. Now, these items will be on display at the Museum of the Sri Dalada Maligawa, that's in Candi, now offering Sri Lankan and international visitors a glimpse into the rich cultural history and heritage of Sri Lanka's hill capital. Now, moving on, Sri Lanka's parliament is set to meet today. Now, notably, today is going to be the only parliament session scheduled for this week. Now, the parliament will meet under the auspices of Speaker Mahinda Yapa Abewardena. Now, according to the Sri Lankan Parliament, several important orders published in the Special Gazette under the Excise Ordinance as well as the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Act are scheduled to be taken up for debate during today's session, which is also the only parliamentary session for this week. Now, yesterday, something interesting took place. An MOU was signed between Sri Lanka and India. Now, this is for renewable energy. Now, before we come into this story, let's take a background check onto this. You might recall that several years ago, Sri Lanka started a program to introduce renewable energy, and then a company called Newsfirst was brought in and an agreement was signed. Now, there were major allegations raised during that time that this agreement, signed at the wee hours of the night, is controversial and that it is marred with various malpractices and corruption, and eventually that agreement did not materialize, and now a new agreement has been signed. Now, Petronet LNG Limited of India and LTL Holdings Limited of Sri Lanka have signed a MOU for LNG infrastructure development and LNG supply to Sri Lanka. Now, this MOU is focused on providing an innovative solution encompassing supply of LNG, that's liquefied natural gas, through multimodal ISO container supply chain. Now, this involves the development of LNG unloading, storage and regasification facilities at Keralapitia, Colombo, and the supply of LNG from PLL's Kochi LNG terminal through LNG ISO tank containers for power generation facilities of the Subhadanavi power plant in Sri Lanka. Now, under the terms of the MOU, Petronet LNG Limited, that's PLL, will explore LNG supplies to fuel the 230 megawatt gas turbines at Keralapitia, ensuring cleaner and reliable round-the-clock power generation. Now, Minister Kanchana Wijayasekara, who was speaking at this event, had noted that despite the government's difficult policy decisions regarding the electricity tariff over the past 2 years, the CEB, or the Ceylon Electricity Board, has become a debt-free, robust institution. Now, he said that this financial stability has attracted new agreements and encouraged both local and foreign investment in the energy sector. Now, if you just joined us and if you just looked out your windows, you might notice that it's still very gloomy and some areas are also experiencing rainfall. Now, since last week, many parts of Sri Lanka have been experiencing rainfall and flood situations as well. Well, it's about to continue. Now, the Met Department says showers or thunder showers will be experienced in the western, Sabaragamuwa, southern and northwestern provinces and in the Kandy and Nuwara districts. Now, the Met Department is warning that some of these areas might experience over 75 millimeters of rainfall during most times of the day, especially during the evening. Now, at the same time, wind speeds of up to 30 to 40 kilometers could also be experienced in some of the areas, including the coastal areas, especially in the north and northwestern and the Hambantota district. Now, at the same time, we always warn our viewers to take adequate precaution to minimize the damages caused by lightning. And as always, I would like to remind you, if there is lightning, stay indoors and unplug those electrical appliances so that no harm would come to your property and yourself. Well, that brings an end to this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown. I'll see you again tomorrow, same place, same time. Until then, take care and God bless. Step away from the conventional art of storytelling. Get ready for the Newsfirst Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfick Farzan.